just saying, when they talk about them guys spending money, do they think I just sit here on my butt and eat ice cream and don't spend money? Are you crazy?
Good evening, race fans. Thank you so much for joining us for another ongoing edition of what's becoming the NHRA rules change, mid-season wrap-up, controversy 2.0. I'm not sure how we're going to call it, but we could not have another episode without having the man sitting to my right, screen right, the man, the myth, the legend, the winningest Pro Mod NHRA driver in history, three-time world champion at NHRA Legal Pro Mod, equal only with Mr. Troy Coughlin, some pretty good company. And they call him Father Time for a reason. Rickie, thank you so much for your time today, mate.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. First thing I want to say here is, you see me looking at this away?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking at you.
Okay.
My camera's over here, and I don't have a long enough cord to put it on top of my computer. So don't think that I'm looking cross-eyed here. I'm trying to look at you, and the camera's here. So
don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. Look at the fans who are here to listen to what you've got to say. Right. And I'm sure it's plenty you've got to say. I know you've made a couple of comments on one of the videos I've put up so far. We've had Stevie make some comments. Lyle's made some comments. It's been very interesting. So now I think I'll just turn over the open mic to the man, but I'll lead you a little bit. I've gone to bat for the NHRA, Rickie. I've argued with you. I've said, hang on a minute, guys. Number one in the points is a ProCharger. Number two is Rickie Smith, a Nitrous Engine. Number three is Stevie Fast Jackson, predominantly a roots blower. Number four is Lyle Barnett with twin turbos. And number five is Stan Shelton with a screw. Looking as a very shallow scratching of the surface, you've also, to throw in there just to wind you up a bit further, you've also run it up. You've had a final with you and your teammate, two nitrous cars in the final. So with all of that thrown at you, how can Rickie Smith, the man who seems to be always in trouble, how can he say it's not fair, there's an advantage? The floor is yours.
Well, all I can say is I've been very lucky this year a lot of times by winning rounds. All right. I'm not the fastest car there. Neither one of my cars are when we go to these races. We're about a fourth or fifth qualifying car. Okay. We've been real lucky on Sunday. And this is where, when they start this spreadsheet bull crap going on, I'm the only car that they go off of because I'm on a nitrous car there.
Correct.
Well, Brett, if you go back and look, I don't shut off. I don't have bad runs. I run the same thing that the car run all the time. That if a pack slows down 100, I slow down 100. If a pack picks up 100, I pick up 100. I don't go out there and make one run, and the pack runs the same, and I slow down 500 or 600. Look at anything. I don't do that. Okay. Whether you want to call it a bragging or whatever, I have a heck of a track record of not shutting off and making consistent runs. And that's what screws up the spreadsheet.
Well, hang on. I'll jump in there. Lonnie's line there was, if it's slower than 5, I think it's 85, that does not go into the spreadsheet calculation.
Absolutely. Not a problem. But I'm not talking about slowing up more. We don't run 585 much no more. We run 570s, So when you're out here running 575, 574 to a 580, the 585 is out the book. So you're going off of me sitting there running 578, 579, or 580, 581 consistently, and you got other guys that might run a 578, and then they run a 585, where they take the borderline in. Yeah. That's where the spreadsheet is screwed up at. When a guy can be consistent as I can. And I ran 2014, I believe. It was either 13, 14, or 16. One of those 3 years I won the championship. I think it was 14 with a clutch car. I ran the whole season in NHRA and never shut off one time, qualifying and racing. The whole season. and never shut off with a pro modified car. How can you do that?
Well, that's to your detriment, is what you're telling me.
Pretty damn good.
So and you're telling me you're being penalized for being good at your job.
Right. Absolutely.
Well,
and I want to make this statement right now too, while you at it. When you just said that, I'm being penalized. Not Lonnie, but a tech guy higher than him in the tech department. Been 3 years ago, whatever, 4 years ago, maybe somewhere in the last 3 or 4 years. Twice, this guy's made this statement to me over a couple-year period. Twice, when I got in an argument with him about the way they do the rules. This was about his exact words. Rickie, when we look at rules, we have to look at you totally different than anybody else. That's the God's honest truth on my mama's grave, what he told me. And that's a compliment. Don't get me wrong. That is a compliment or whatever you call it to me.
It's a great compliment, but it's also a backhanded compliment.
Right. So I'm getting penalized for doing good and being consistent. That comes from a higher tech guy more than one time. And he knows it. And I don't have to mention no names, but that's what I run into when I deal with NHRA. And it's you know, you're going to get me started here and you get me emotion because I love what I do.
You do.
And by God, I mean, if you don't think I don't, cross my path. And you take my son, and I know I'm getting off path here a little bit, but look what he done last weekend. Just blew the field away with a bike he had last year. And it's just that kid, and I call him a kid, he's 49 years old, I think. But he works in that shop 7 days a week. He gets to take off maybe once or twice in the summertime and go fish. He loves to go fish at the coast. Sundays, he is in that shop. Sundays. Anytime he's at home, he's in that shop on Sundays. Saturdays and Sundays. By himself, with his wife. They've got a guy now that's helping them some. But Matthew's in that shop all the time. So how are you penalizing this guy if they do it or anything when this guy works his butt off? So I'm just saying and I'm not saying maybe I am the father child, but Matthew has learned a lot from me from a work ethic. And I got my work ethic from my grandpa.
Well, I'll bring you back on track a little bit on the same lines, Rickie. I threw a comment out there in one of the interviews I was doing about this very topic in this last week that I can't remember when it was, and I'm sure it's burned into the back of your brain. You worked hard all winter. You came out with a nitrous combination that put a few numbers on the field. And I believe it was one or second race in, they threw 25 or 50 pounds at you. And it was basically the Rickie Smith rule. And yes, it's a compliment that you're very good at what you do. But when it's what you do for a living, I'd be fairly hot under the collar if I was in your position where if I'm smarter than they are and work harder than they are, or a combination of both, and I get an advantage inside the rules, isn't that what drag racing pro light's all about?
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. 13, 14, and 16. All 3 years I won the championship, they penalized me after the third race, 50 pounds. And that slowed my car down 200s and I explained to them, when the track was good and the air was really good and we had good power, it slowed my car down 200s. But most of the time we run during the day and it was hot and shitty the track was, so it's hard to move that weight when you can't get a hold to the racetrack. It slowed me down 300s, okay? So I went from being able to qualify number 1 or 2 to the best I could be after that was number 2 to 4 or 5 after the third race. And I still won the championship all 3 years when I couldn't qualify number 1. So when you sit out here and qualify number 1 all the time, unless you screw up on the run, look at the ProChargers. They're number 1 all the time, basically.
You've had a number 1 this year?
No, I ain't neither. Hell no. Hell no. No. And I hate to say that word, but no, I ain't qualified number. The last time I qualified number 1 was last year at Indy. Qualified number 1 at St. Louis, the next race. And the only reason I qualified number one then, me and Stevie were fighting back and forth 100 every qualifying run. I was there, he was there. I was there, he was there. We went into the fourth session and the track cooled down and he missed it because they always outrun me in 60 foot. I run with him in 60 and I out-qualified him by 100, okay? 100 and a half maybe.
Yeah.
I won the race because he had lane choice going in the finals. Me and him both were running all out. That's what I tried to explain to the tech guy. He was trying to win a championship. I was trying to win a race that year. I hadn't won a race that year, and I was trying to win. So both of us was running about all we could run, I think. I was, and I think he was too, because he was outrunning me on Sunday. He had lane choice going in the final. He had me beat at the 330. He done left on me, done outrun me at the 330, and he blew up, and I won the race, okay? A little bit of luck. You got to have some. Before we get to the next race, I got 75 pounds put on me. 75 pounds.
How much was it, Rickie?
75. Now, I'll admit, I was already running heavy because I couldn't get light. But I think I had to put 35 or 40 pounds in the car. And I only out-qualified them by 100. So how in the world do you do this to me? And they want to know why I get pissed and get mad. And here's the deal, Jose, and I like Jose. Don't get me wrong. Good person, no problem. I got no problem with Jose. But I'm picking on Jose here because he's the guy that's got a lot of money and spends a lot of money in this deal, all right?
Yes, sir.
So you take a guy like Jose, it's a big businessman, runs a country or whatever he does or what. All right? Let's say Joe Blow comes in beside of him and let's say Jose's bidding on beer that comes in the country and he's $2 or $3, $4 million deal, and Joe Blow comes in and underbids him, or let's say he don't underbid him, he comes in, he's good friends with the guy that has to sign off on it. So this guy gets a deal, and Jose's worked for 10 years, or his father's worked for 40 years to have this deal. Well, this guy walks in and just steals it away from him. You think he wouldn't be fucking mad?
I'm sure.
So it's the same deal. I have worked my butt off over here for 49 years this year to run good and run up front, and I get penalized more than they do. When I say more, when they penalize me, I can't qualify number one no more. When they penalize the ProCharge car for 2.5 years now, and it still qualifies number one. Why can you not penalize them enough where they're going to qualify third and fourth for a while? That's all I ask. Do to them what you've done to me, and I'll shut up.
They can't swing any more weight on a ProCharge.
They don't have to. I've told them what to do. And you know what they said? I'm glad you brought that up. I said, you got a 390 gear in a screw charger.
Screw charger.
Well, the damn ProCharger does the same thing, makes power like that. Why ain't you got a 390 gear in the ProCharger? Well, they're just going to spend more money and find it back. No, they ain't. They're going to spend more money and they're going to find some of it back. But I really think if they put that 390 gear in them cars where they got them, it's going to put them behind maybe. So now they can come and take 50 pounds off of them. Why be this ignorant about what you're doing? Okay? Put that 390 gear in, and they talk about they're going to spend more money. Okay? Jose's, I know what the deal is, close. I might miss it $100,000. But Jose spends around $800,000 a year racing. Rickie Smith, on my mama's grave on the Bible, has about $250 to $275 a year to spend, period. Okay? I went and spent I think it was $87,000 this winter to find 100 and 1 mile an hour. $87,000, and I got a $200 and let's say a $75 budget. And the only reason I could do that, Russell Miller rented 4 races from me this year, and it gave me a little over $100,000 extra to spend. And that's when I say 275. That's counting Russell Miller's $100,000. All right. So I took that money and spent it trying to find something. So you're gonna say Rickie Smith can spend $80,000 to find 100 on his budget, and they can't go buy a couple stators, a few converters, blah blah blah, and maybe go spend $30,000 to find that 100 back? Well, that's a pretty big difference when you got $800,000 to spend and you spend 30, and I got $275 to spend, and I spent $87,000, and figured I bought. This is not just numbers. I got proof of this. I bought 3 5-speed Liberties. That's $15,000 a piece. I bought 4 carbon fiber drive shafts, 2 for each car. They're $1,700 a piece. I bought 3 11-inch third members that are $9,400 a piece. Figure that any way you want to. And that ain't counting going and test and have to buy a couple extra gear ratios. I ain't even throw that in yet. So I'm just saying, when they talk about them guys spending money, do they think I just sit here on my butt and eat ice cream and don't spend money? Are you crazy?
Well, you may not be able to eat too much of that ice cream, because despite the fact you're telling me it's only a token, they've given you 25 pounds.
Yeah, and that's another good. I'm glad you brought that question up.
I'm full of great questions.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're doing this, because this is what I'm pissed about. So they put 25 pounds off of the screw charger. 4840 bore spacer. The 01 rule whatever bull crap.
Yeah, 01. They've taken it away again. But
they took 25 pounds off of them. So then they had this meeting, and they tell them, oh, that ain't doing. 25 pounds won't do nothing for us. Why are you doing that? So they take it back, put it back on. But what they do, to give them 2% overdrive.
Only on the roots, only on the 4.8.
On the 4.8. So then they're going to come up and say, oh, well, we're going to take 25 pounds off that nitrous car and help Rickie. Well, how in the world, if it didn't help the blower car, how is it going to help me? Huh? Tell me. If it ain't good for them, why is it good for me? You ain't done jack crap for me. Okay? Nothing. You just want to make the public out there think you have. Whoopee-doo. All right? And what I'm saying about the 4.8, they say won't run. Well, I asked Lonnie this question when they made this rule. When I heard it was coming out, I said, Lonnie, you making this 4.8, they'll say they can't run. Stevie can't run with it. Do you realize Stevie, go back and look at some of his comments he's put out here. He's had a new car this year. He went to fuel injection this year, so he's struggling. Okay, I believe that. So while he's struggling, he wants you to give him a weight break so he can come back and run good while he's testing. And I said, on top of that, not only is he testing, did you see what Justin Bond and Belushi done at Norwalk? And he got quiet. I said, Lonnie, they run Goodyears all 3 rounds of qualifying. Okay? Tested. So they put the Hoosiers back on first round, and what did Belushi do with a 4.8 motor? He outrun me first round, Ronnie. I beat him on a hole shot. He run quicker than me, but you go come back and give him some more power. How do you expect me not to get mad? You tell me with common sense how I ain't supposed to be mad at what you're doing here. When he told me, he said, well, I don't go look at people's tires. I don't go look and see what they're. Well, if you're the tech guy and you're going to make these parity adjustments, you damn sure ought to be looking at what's on cars and what they're running. That's your job.
So let me step into the ring of fire. You are bringing up some great points. You've got some numbers to back you up.
Absolutely.
Is it not the boy who cried wolf? Rickie Smith certainly has the, whether it be correct or not correct, reputation of it's always too hard for me. I'm always getting picked on. Now, you named the 3 years that you won the championship and they threw 25 and 75 and 50 pounds at you. That would give anyone grounds for argument. So do you accept that a few people look at you as the boy who cried wolf? Oh, Rickie's complaining again.
I don't care. If they ain't smart enough to see what's going on and I'm telling the truth, and I can tell you, I'll go take a lie detector test, tell you what I'm telling the truth. Go see what them other guys are telling. I'm telling you the truth, what's going on out here. And if they ain't, the public, the fans, or whatever ain't out there smart enough to figure this out, I hate it for them. They can call me crying all they want to. What the hell Stevie done all year? Cry. So, but it ain't crying to him. Oh, Stevie ain't crying. What do you mean Stevie ain't crying? I mean, he is testing fuel injection and can't run with it, but yet you're going to give him a rule change so he can run with it. Really? How smart is this? Just use some common sense in this stuff, guys. That's all I want out here is for some of these guys to quit bullshitting their fans and tell the truth so they don't look like heroes in front of their fans because they're telling them lies. That's what's happening out here in this world right now.
So you've led me to a great segue. Stevie said, he knew that the combination they put together with the screw, with the, was it 75% before Stevie Care came into play. Right. He knew that he had a 10th on the field, but he didn't want to hide it. He didn't want to bullshit. He wanted to run it out the back door like you do.
Right.
You guys are running. He's one of the other guys in the class that runs as a professional racer. That's how he puts food on his table.
Absolutely.
Would it not have been smart for him to go, let's lay down a little. Let's just win a few here.
No, I mean, I'll applaud Stevie for doing that. Absolutely. What he done was right. He saw what was going on from some people down south. Okay, I don't have to call them names. From the organization down south. He saw what was going on, laying back. He finally figured out if they could run that fast with that thing, he knew he could do better than them because he'd run the ProCharge a lot longer. So he come out there and showed his hand. Okay, so I applaud Stevie for doing what he done, and we talked about that. We have talked about that. Let me tell you something. I got absolutely no problem with Stevie as a racer. And I've been out here, like I say, 49 years, all right? I got started early. I won my first championship when I was 22 years old. 2 of them back-to-back, Winston Championship, 22 years old. So I got started early and got a chance to win. I've been out here a long time, so I should, if I'm good, I should have a lot of wins, okay?
Yes, sir.
Not arguing about that. There's nobody else. Stevie, in my book, and this is what I think of Stevie. Stevie's probably the only person that can wear my shoes.
Okay.
I'm being honest. He is the only person in this organization that can wear my shoes. And the reason I'm saying that, Stevie's like me, he tunes his own car. He can drive his own truck and trailer. He has to go find his own sponsor. He don't have a business to support himself. And I'm not saying having a business to support yourself is wrong. I wish the hell I had one. But I'm just saying this is what we have to do to survive. And ain't none of these other guys can do that. They ain't. They ain't none of them can go find a sponsor because if they could, they'd have it. They can't go find a sponsor and support themselves and support their family and raise their kids, put 3 kids through school, raise their kids. They can't do it. If they haven't, ain't done it yet. And they ain't going to do it. I'm going to tell you that right now. It ain't happening. And I've won my 3 championships in NHRA after I turned 60. Okay. I'll guarantee you right now, and I would put up money, that there's nobody in this Pro Mod organization right now, after they turn 60, will even probably be racing, much less winning a championship or even winning a race in this high category. Now, they may go run top sportsman or nothing wrong with them cars. I'm not saying I'm bad about them guys. I'm just saying they may back down as an old man and go run a bracket class or something like that. But they're not going to be out here running a professional class, running the cars we're running, and doing what I'm doing at my age. I'll bet you money I am 1 in a million, as John Force, that can do this at our age. Brag it, call it what you want. Until somebody proves me different, show me.
If you can back it up, then it's not bragging, Ricky.
That's right.
Now, okay, so we'd hate to see you go away from Nitrous because Rickie Smith is the Nitrous man. But a couple of years ago, you built a different power out of motor vehicle. Never made it to the racetrack with your butt in it, for as far as I can see. But tell us a little about that.
Which one you want to talk about? The ProCharger or the turbo car? Or you want to talk about all of them?
Well, you can talk about them all. I was referring to the ProCharger.
Okay. I ain't built a ProCharger. Let's see. Did I?
You built it, you never ran it.
No, I didn't build a ProCharger. I don't think. I built a Roots car.
A Roots car.
Built a Roots car.
Sorry,
I was going to build a ProCharger, but I changed it before it left Bickles before they got that far, and I decided to go with a Roots car.
Okay.
Yeah. But I built the turbo car first because that's what they pissed me off about 13, 14, all through there, about the way they run them things. They're sandbagging over there. They just go out there and pick up 600-700s when they wanted to, and basically when they run me. Okay. And I got tired of that crap because I'm smart enough to know you can't do that without either sandbagging or something going on. I had to spend the money that I don't have, had to borrow money to go spend to build a turbo car. Steve Petty tuned it, and I like Steve Petty, don't get me wrong. Brad Personette tuned it. Both of them guys showed me, and I checked it, and they can say what they want to. I've got data where that car was 3 and 4 pounds over boost, okay, from where it ought to be. When it get back down to where it ought to be, it wouldn't even hardly, it'd run maybe middle of the pack. Then it'd jump back up and run this. And I asked questions about it, and they had comment. I said, okay, let it go, whatever, you know. So I finally got fed up with it, and I showed NHRA how this cheating was going on. At Indy, on Thursday at Indy, it took them Indy, St. Louis, and Charlotte. The third race after I showed them what was going on for, they finally checked the car, caught it illegal, and throwed it out. Have you saw a turbo car run since then? No. No. And what they do the next year, they all switch to ProChargers.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, I just don't want to be such a bad guy here all the time, but I'm tired of getting thrown on the bus and keeping my mouth shut. Okay. You've raised and pushed and kicked this old big fat dog on the porch. About all you're going to do it. And and you want to raise some more, King, and you want to run your mouth some more, I can talk some more. And everything I'm telling you is the God's honest truth. They know I have proof of what I'm saying.
You also mentioned you built a ProCharge, then changed to Roots combination. That never made the racetrack?
And I built that car to run basically outlaw.
Okay.
Okay. It was legal. I mean, where it all was built legal for NHRA with all the right stuff in it. But I was not going to run basically NHRA with it hardly. I built it to go run PDL and some of these outlaw races so I could go run some of these big money races. Because the way they got the rules, you can't go wrong with these blower cars no more. I don't care if you're Brandon Schweitzer, Jim Halsley, it don't matter. Outlaw racing. You're 300 to 500 behind these blower cars with a nitrous car anymore. So I wanted to go run something. So I built it. Todd Teterow built the motors, put the converter in it, tuned it, done everything. Todd done an excellent job. We go to Darlington, make 3 runs on it. 140-degree track, that thing went out there and went 371. I couldn't have run with my out racing. I couldn't have run 378 if I'd have been lucky at that time with a nitrous car. And I told Chad, my guy, I said, man, this is stupid. I said, there ain't no way we can run with this stuff. And then Todd said, well, it's down 3 or 4 pounds of boost. I said, hey, he said, well, I just know about what the gauge is saying. And I said, well, maybe the gauge is wrong. He said, I don't think so because the way I'm having to tune it, I can't put fuel in it. So, it's not showing the boost at all. So Todd come back. He said, let's go home. I know where it's at now. I know where it is. It's down on the 2-step. It's down on the track. He said, we'll go back. We'll warm it up in the morning at your shop. We'll put it on the 2-step. See where the boost is. We'll take my blower. He says, it's off my car. I'll go to the shop and get it. I'll bring it over in the morning. We'll put that blower on it just as quick as we can swap them. We'll put it on the 2-step. And we'll know then is the gauge or whatever's going on. He said, that's a back-to-back test. I said, good.
Yep.
So we come over here the next morning. We take it outside. We warm it up. Cut it off. Let everything simmer in. We got the front end off of it. Todd's standing out there kind of in front of it over to the side. I warm it up. Get ready. Just as I decked that thing, it shut off. I mean, as I hit the pedal split, it said, "Doo." I looked at Todd, he looked at me, and he looked down at the motor, and he said, "Get out." I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "It just locked the fuel pump up." I said, "Really?" I said, "How you know that?" He said, "Because it's done twisted it up here." I said, "Okay." So we took it out, took it apart, blah, blah, this, and stuff. We're getting everything because all that stuff got in the fuel cell. So we had to take it all apart. He said, "I'm going to take it home, wash it, do all this. I'll get the pump fixed. We'll come back." I said, "Okay." So he left. But before he left, we were talking. He said, "Man, if that had happened on a racetrack, that motor would have been junked." He said, "It would have detonated. It would have knocked the rods out of it." He said, "It pistons." He said, "Rickie, if something like this happens on one of these cars, it will junk it. It's a bad deal." So he scared me because I don't have the budget to run that thing. And when he left, I thought about it overnight, and I called him next morning. I said, "Todd, this stuff's for sale." He laughed. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Todd, I can't get into this deal. This is out of my league. I could not afford to run this car. I could have one or two of those deals happen, and I would be out of business." I said, "I can maintain the nitrous car. It don't hang, knock on wood, it don't hang rods out of it. It don't do that type stuff. I may burn a piston. Me and Chad can work on it. I get Chad put the sleeve in it. We come back, put it together. I can control a little bit of what I spend, okay, by me doing a lot of my own work." I said, "I can't do it." So that's when I put everything up for sale. And that's the reason I didn't run the blower car, was I seen right quick, and I'm glad I did, that I couldn't afford to run that car.
I don't know that many people would understand that, and that was a very good explanation. That we see you're running NHRA Pro Mod. You're running at the deepest end of door car racing there is. What does it matter whether it's a screw charger or a turbo or a Roots or a nitrous engine? Y'all are having to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, but you've got firsthand back to back that you're saying a long-winded answer to my question. Why are we still seeing Rickie with a nitrous engine? It's what you know, but it's what you can control.
Right. I know how to work on that thing. So me and Chad know what to do. We can tear it all apart completely, fix it. I take the block to Pat. He puts a sleeve in it. Okay, sleeve's $125, $150, whatever. Time he puts a sleeve in it and fixes it all back, I said $1,000 in it. So I come back, put a couple of sleeves in it. I got parts deals. I can buy parts just like Pat can. I can buy parts as a normal engine builder.
Yes.
So I don't pay the high dollar price for stuff, okay, because I've been out here a long time. So I can buy all this stuff at the right price, and I know and I can do my own work. So I don't have to pay, and I'm not trying to be bad at anybody here. It's just the way it goes. Jose's got a business to run, okay? So he's got to pay a guy to work on this thing, clean the truck, dump the shitter, dry the truck, go through the motor during the week. And you can't have part-time people doing that, okay? So you got to hire, you may not need that guy, but time you test and everything 20 times a year. But you can't get a good guy that works and knows what he's doing and you can trust and only pay him 20 times a year.
Yes, sir.
So you got to pay this guy all year long. So they got employees that they're probably paying anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 a year. You got 3 or 4 of them guys. So that's the reason it costs them so much more than it does me, because they got to pay to get this stuff done where I do it myself. And that's the reason I can run cheaper, And I maybe it pisses them off, maybe it discourages them, and I can do this stuff this cheap, and they got to spend $800, and I can spend less than $300 and still be competitive. But it's because it's only me and one guy doing all the work, and that's the reason I can afford to do it a lot cheaper. And if I couldn't do it either, because I don't know anybody, just like they can, Stevie, whatever. I don't know anybody can go out here and find a $500,000 sponsorship on these cars. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. You got to have somebody that's got a heck of a business that can go forward to spend that kind of money out of their business to do this. And I applaud them guys for doing it. I mean, but I couldn't do it. I'd have had to quit a long time ago if I had to do that.
All right, let's talk about what you are going to do. You're about 100 points behind Chris Thorne. So that's a full race. That's 4 rounds of racing, a couple of top qualifiers each session, and him get 0 points. But we've got 6 races left.
I mean, that is doable if that car wasn't running like it's running. Okay. If that car was slowed back down 300 like it should be, then I'd say, okay, I got an equal base. He's going to have to make mistakes. I got to make mistakes. We got to overpower the racetrack and do this. But that car is so far yet. I'm still saying that car can outrun me 400 to 500 when it wants to. So when you can lay back and hold off a couple hundreds and not run that thing quite as hard as you want to and get that thing down the racetrack consistent, it's going to be hard for him to make that mistake. The only way that they're going to mess up is if something breaks on that car, about period. Thorne is a good driver. He hardly ever screws up enough to miss a light that bad that I'm going to beat him. I mean, when I'm 200 and 300s behind him, he's going to have to be, let's say, 70 on the tree and me be 30 or something like that to beat him. And that ain't going to happen. I mean, it just probably won't happen. You know, just like when he run me up there at Richmond. He'd have won all 4 races this year if he hadn't red light. And I ain't saying he only red lighted by 4 or 5 thousandths or whatever. So he can do that with that type car. I can't do that with a nitrous car. I can, if I stage a car right, I cannot red light with a nitrous car, and I don't know anybody that can. And ask Jeffrey Barker this. Ask anybody who wants to talk about a nitrous car that runs a tie drive for the
put it on the 2-step, let go of the button.
It will not react quick enough to be 00 or red. It won't happen. Okay. Jeffrey Barker come to me a year ago. He said, "Man, I'm staging this car right. I'm doing everything I can." He said, "Rickie, 20 of 25, basically." This is his own words. He said, "About 25 is all I can be on the tree." I looked at him. I said, "You're doing a hell of a job." I said, "Let me tell you something. You're doing a hell of a job." Because I said, "That's all you're going to do." I put Jonathan Gray in my car, which can be 00. And I watched him for a solid year in my car be 00, 12. If he had a 13 light, he was late for him. But when he got in that button thing, he started out, he was 60 and 70, and he about quit because he couldn't get no better. And I finally explained to him how to hold the button, what he's doing. And he finally got where he could be 25 and 30. And that's all he could be. And he's as damn good at cutting lights as anybody over there in the NHRA when he raced. So I'm just saying, with a nitrous car versus a blower car, the way they can leave 1,000 RPMs higher than we do and all that, that car is going to react quicker. If the same 2 drivers does the same thing, you're going to lose 100th and a half, maybe 2, but I'm saying a solid 100th and a half from that car to a blower car because of the way they react, and we're leaving so low. It's just part of it.
Fairy Godmother turns up tonight, Rickie, taps you on the shoulder. You've got open carte blanche. You can do whatever you want to do to the rules package, to your car, to their cars. How do we get, in your mind, parity?
If they'd left the rules alone, other than the screw charge, the screw charger. I don't know what they got to do that yet. They don't either. They had to do something to it. At least they done 10%. Okay. That had to be worked on. The ProCharger, they should have put a 390 gear in. Let them go spend the 30 or 40 grand to try to find something back. Maybe they'll find 100th of it back. But I bet you that puts us all in line pretty close if they put a 390 gear in that car. And if it don't, then they have to qualify 3rd and 4th for a couple of races. Well, what's wrong with that? I had to do it for years. What's wrong with that? Why you got to run up front all the time? Well, a brand new combination. We have a lot of work and time in a nitrous car and a Roots car. Why does a ProCharger have to run up front from 2020? That's 2.5 years that car has been able to qualify up front at will. They won't let no other combination do that. So why are you letting that car do that?
I think enough people have spoken about that at least 18 months that ProCharger had free reign. There's no doubt about that. You didn't give the Roots guys any love there with your Fairy Godmother. What You think they're close enough?
I think the roots are we're damn near close as we need to be. Now I'm pretty sure it was in Charlotte. Maybe I missed the deal, but I think it was in Charlotte. We had a meeting of all the drivers. Ned was there. Lonnie was there, I think. Josh Peterson was in there. So we're talking about things up there. They got to talk about a little bit of parity. Got in. We didn't talk about much yet, but I'm pretty sure Stevie spoke up, and I applaud him for this. He spoke up and he said, "Man, when we get in 100 grains, 110 grains of water, a nitrous car should be able to qualify number one every now and then. He should have us covered 100 to 200, somewhere in that area when we're in 110 grams of water." This comes from Stevie. Where have I been able to do that yet? Within 120-something, 110 grams of water at Norwalk, I couldn't qualify number one. So now, after the race, you turn around and give them more power, and I still can't qualify number one. So you let it be 75, 77, 75, 73 degrees. You know, first of the year, a couple races, end of the year, sometime a couple. You let it be that weather, they're going to outrun me 400 and 500s without a shadow of a doubt. Now what are you going to do? All I'm asking for is when it's their time to run good, they get to run good. When it's my time to run good, let me run good. But every time that it's my time to run good, and I even get close to even, not in front, just close to even, within 100, they do this bullshit. They do it. Go back and look at all the records you want to look at. Just so when I get close to them, they go back and say, "Oh, man, better slow that nitrous car back down again." Really? Are you that scared to run an old man?
He's a pretty smart old man.
Well, I've been blessed. God has blessed me. I'll say that 100%. With the wife I got and the kids I got, I've been blessed.
Rickie, let me just finally get this finished. This coming race at where are we going next? Norwalk? No, Topeka. We're going to Topeka. The next race at Topeka, and then the following weekend at the zoo. Have you lost the 25 pounds? Are you on a Stevie lettuce diet, or did you find 25 pounds in the car? Where are we going to see you?
I had about 40 pounds in the car. Okay. So now I'm probably going to take 20 of it out. I'm better off to run 5 or 10 pound heavy and make the car balanced than to try to run the car light and it ain't balanced. You can't do that. So I'll have to maybe run the car 10 pounds, 15 pound heavier than I want to, because it's not going to hurt me anyway. Keeping the car balanced is going to help me better than that weight. And that's the reason the Roots cars bitched at them and told them at 25 pounds ain't going to do them nothing. That was a waste of time. And it's a waste of time I'm doing it to me. You know?
Doug Winters gave us some direction around that the last time, because he got I think it was 50 pounds for the Chevelle body. And it's upset the chassis, it's upset the suspension, it's upset his balance. So, you know, that in lay terms, you think, oh, I've lost 50 pounds. Well, you know, there's three numbers straight away.
Right.
And it just doesn't wash out that way.
Unless you got these cars way, way heavy, like they have the 2,700 pound stuff and stuff like that. If they took 50 off, I'm sure they could work it out and everything would be all right, you know. But here's another deal I want to mention while we're on the weight. I built that Jerry Bickle car. I've had 10 times more than anybody else, 20 times more than anybody else. Okay. So I know what they weigh when they come out from up there. I know there's not a car that comes out there, a blower car that ain't within 10 pounds. There ain't a nitrous car that comes out up there that ain't within 10 pounds. Unless you go pay him big money to make that nitrous car lighter, and you might get it out of there 25 pounds lighter. Okay. But I didn't do anything special to that blower car. Okay. At 26.25, I weighed 250 pounds. At 26.25, that car had 77 pounds of lead in it. And Todd Tedero back that up. They know what was in that car. So Stevie's got to be 50 or 60 pounds lighter than me. All right.
Yes, sir.
He's got a car that's got to be within 10 pounds of what I had. So how can you say that you out here, Joe Blows, trying to find weight in this car and do this and that? Bull crap. Are you kidding me? There ain't no reason that car can't go down to 2,600 pounds and still have 30, 40, 50 pounds laying around in it. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I'm just going off of what I know for a fact. So I'm just being honest with you here about weight in these cars. Now, Doug Winter's car, it's his choice to build a Chevelle, you know, and probably the body's heavy. You know, they probably don't have good molds for that thing and all that. I mean, I understand that. That car's probably heavy. But Stevie's car, you know, I mean, it just shouldn't be that heavy, you know. So there's no problem. I know JR ain't no problem with them getting weight out of that car, which they didn't take none off of it, and they shouldn't took none off of it. Mike, they treated Mike Janis worse. Maybe I ain't saying worse, but I like to do me maybe. That combination hauls butt. That 4900 combination, and Frank Manzo told him 3 years ago, or maybe 4, in a meeting at Charlotte. We were all in a meeting there with the tech people. Frank Manzo stood up in that meeting and told them if they let the 4900 in, it's going to be a bad mistake and they said, oh, no, you let it in. It's going to help us with the crank, and it does this. It's just durability is the reason it's better. This is what Janis and them put to the people. I heard it. And all these other people, Frank Manzo tell you, he heard it. No, it's for durability. It's got a better center main. It does this. It's all better. It's just for durability. Frank Manzo told him right then, you are wrong. 4900 is going to run fast. And what's it done? It's outrunning the 4800. Okay? They knew this, but they got it in and got it through NHRA. Now, don't be crying wolf because you're running good with this thing when you know it was going to do that when you got it worked out. They turned around last year at Dallas. I qualified #1 at Dallas. They come up first round. They didn't just outrun me. They wouldn't even been in the field out there if it had been 16 cars. A car that I know it's fast. I know the car is good, and I know they got good power because I sold them a car. Well, all of a sudden, they hit on it. They come up first round and outrun me first round. They didn't just outrun me. They outrun the whole field. So then something happened that didn't shift, so they lost. They got to Bristol, the very next race. I think the next weekend. They get there and they do the same thing. They mess around. They can't get down the racetrack. They qualify 16th or whatever. I qualified #1. So what they do? Step up, outrun me again, and the whole field. Not just outrun me. It wasn't like I was out there lollygagging, got my ass beat. They outrun me in the whole field and won the race. So why didn't they do something this winter? All right, they didn't do something this winter. So, they're running good at Norwalk. I made one of the best runs I've made all year at Norwalk, the Q3, Q4, whatever the last qualifying run. My car left. It was beautiful. It never dipped that front end. It didn't do that big wheel stand. It just left, and it just kept carrying them wheels. When I got to the 8th mile, I said, man, this thing's on a run. I went 578. Stevie goes 570. Janis and them goes 574 right beside of them. They outrun me 400s for that power. And I made a bullseye run. So, yeah, they can outrun me. And, okay, whatever, let it go. But they didn't need weight took off of them, that's for sure. But the problem I'm saying is they didn't need to give the Roots 4.8 any more power because we're all run the same. Or they showed they could outrun me up there when it's bad air. They outrun me first round. I beat Belushi on a hole shot. And that was the first run back on Hoosier tires. What would they have done if they had 2 runs on them? So, man, it's silly season, man. That's all I'm saying. I mean, if Lonnie's a tech guy, why ain't you paying attention, Bubba? And I told him that. I said, Lonnie, if you're going to make these decisions, then you should be paying attention.
Well,
and he ain't.
He's got stats. He's got spreadsheets. He's got all sorts of things that we gave him the opportunity, and bravely he stepped up to the plate. He's been on. We've spoken to him, and he said his piece. I guess now we're just all going to keep our eyes glued to Topeka and see what comes out in the wash, Ricky.
Well, I'm going to say something else while we're on that line of deal. That's pretty sad when an official steps up and tries to tell you how to run your car and tell you that you made a bad call in the finals when he didn't know whether I made a bad call or not. And where this come from was Jamie Miller in a meeting told him that Rickie changed, put some weight on the front of that car, and he made a bad call in the finals. Well, let me tell you something, Jamie Miller. If you know how to run a nitrous car, get you one, and I'll run you anywhere you want to run. Get you one, Bubba. You ain't going to touch me with no nitrous car. And you know it. And first of all, I will show anybody like you that don't know what, look at my graph, but I'll show you the ride height sensor in low gear. At 6/10 into the run, they were identical. At 1 second in the run, that car was already about an inch higher than it was the run before. If I hadn't to put that weight on the front end, it would have not have probably made as good a run as it made. And for them to stand up there and say, oh, it rained and the track was not as good, and Lonnie made the statement, shows you what he knows. He makes a statement that it rained and the track wasn't as good as it was. Are you kidding me, Bubba? Really? That track was 120-some degrees during the day. When we run the finals, it was 108, and it got cooled off by rain and wasn't pilling up. It was badass. I didn't make no bad call in the finals at Norwalk. The only thing I probably should have done was try to give it a little more time in the first 100 feet or so. But I did not make a bad call. I run within 300ths of them. That's all I can run to them. So if I made a bad call, they made a hell of a lot worse better call than I did, because they outrun me 300ths, and that's about what they normally been doing when we're racing. So where did I make a bad call? I just want the truth to come out. Brad, this bullshit of trying to make Rickie Smith look bad, I'm tired of it. And I ain't going to stand it no more. We're going to come to the head of this, and we're going to come to the front of it, and we're going to tell the truth, or you're going to get embarrassed. Because I'm telling the truth, and I got stats to back it up. You can look at my computer all you want to, and I can show you ride height sensor, and I can show you what I've done. I went 382 or 982 in eliminations. I went 983 or 4 in eliminations. I went 986 in the finals. And probably the reason I went 986 in the finals, I may have parked it in an inch deep because I went 17 on the tree, and I can't do that. So I probably got an inch too deep on that thing. I probably run 980 to 981 and 60 foot, and I probably had about a 25 or 24 light. I'm just being honest with what I think had happened there as a reason. But I did not make a bad call whatsoever.
I'm glad we got that clear.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Smith, thank you so much for your time. I knew it would be exciting. I knew that it would be wind you up, point you, and let you go because, mate, you whether or not I was out of line from my side saying that you might be the boy that cried wolf, you're certainly the boy who tells the truth. You're certainly the man who's been doing this for 100 years. People love you for staying with Nitrous. They love you for your start line games. They love you for your personality. They love you for the passion, I think, that you have, which is, look, we're talking about NHRA Pro Mod Drag Racing. I think NHRA Pro Mod Drag Racing has had more publicity in the last 3 weeks than it's had in the last 3 years. So that's got to be a good thing for the class. Hopefully there is a $500,000 sponsor knocking on your door, and we can see you. We can see you doing what's the man's name I'm trying to think of? Mr. Cox over at PDRA. Put a rack in it every round and burn that thing to the ground and get out the front.
Yeah, I just can't at my age. I can drive with anybody still, okay? And I feel like I'm as good as anybody getting one from one end to the other if it gets out of shape, okay? I still can do that. I'm okay with my reaction or ability to drive a car. I'm fine with that. I don't got a problem with that. But I cannot do it with just me and Chad. I cannot do this much work in the heat of the day and make it anymore. I told my wife this, racing, so I said, I cannot do this in 110, 20 degree water and work as hard and be running away to sweat at my age. I said, I'm asking to kill myself. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy maybe the next 15 years I got to live or whatever. So I just got to watch what I do here and make my mind up whether I race or not next year, because I want to try to enjoy some more time with my wife.
Well, I think we all would wish that for you, but I think none of us would wish that there's an NHRA Pro Mod race without Rickie Smith on the sheet. So,
well, one thing I want to say here. Well, these guys, believe it or not, that I race against, they are my family. That's all I have. I don't have friends and stuff around here.
This is what you
drag racing is my family, and I love them all. But they get me so upset.
Well,
I have to get back at them.
Your best fights are always with your family, Rickie. You know that.
But you pissed me off. You've raised a damn mad dog.
Well, I don't mean to raise a mad dog or get him any more upset. Mate, thank you so much for your time. I know it was a little struggle for us to get together, and I truly, truly appreciate from my heart, and hopefully everyone who's watched, the passion, the honesty, and the commitment that Rickie Smith has to the sport we love. And we look forward to seeing you at a racetrack at the front of the pack very soon.
Thank you, and I love all of you.